No, I never met him. In fact, Tessa, one of his daughters, she said to me once, this was after I'd done several, and they, you know, they were popular, and they still are. But she said, Daddy died at exactly the right time for you. So I said, what do you mean? So she said, well, he would have hated what you did because he hated what everybody did with his stuff. He never liked anything. But because he died, you know, we all like what you do, and so it's all right. So maybe I was very lucky. Yes, so I was writing the play. What I tend to do very often is I'll do all the preparatory work and the synopsis and so on. And I can do that anywhere or at home. But then when I actually write the play, and I've done this ever since my children were very small, I just go away to a hotel room and lock myself in and work through the night, and I can probably do it quite quickly. And I don't enjoy it. I mean, that's the thing. It has to be painful. And the BFG actually was going quite well. And I was in this hotel room in Hastings. And Hastings is a place where Quentin Blake, funnily enough, lived, and I didn't realise that at the time, who is the famous illustrator who does all the Dahl books. Anyway, I just got to the helicopter bit, which is in Act 2, and I thought I would allow myself a treat, because what I normally do is lead a very Spartan existence. I don't watch any television. If there's a television in the room, I don't turn it on until I finish, you know, because that's fatal. But having got to the helicopter, I thought, oh, maybe I will. I just turn the television on and just see a little bit. And it was about 6:15, and it was the news was on, and the television was quite an old one. It took a bit of time to warm up, and as it warmed up, the face came up of this newsreader, and the first thing he said was, it was announced that Roald Dahl died earlier today. And it was a really spooky, Dahl-esque moment in my life, and I sat there in the gloom, thinking, selfishly really, thinking I'll never meet the man, but also wondering if the play would actually be done, you know, whether they would allow it to go ahead, even though they'd given the rights. But I just thought maybe it will do something. And just thought, it's a shame he won't see it. So that was that, really. And then he got saddled with me for years afterwards as I churned them out. And the witches came along, and the Danny, the champion of the world, George's Marvellous Medicine, and all of them. But no, it's been a joy, because I do genuinely admire hugely Dahl, the storyteller. I think he is very, very clever. And I think that the ingredients in his stories, which are really the classic fairy tale ingredients, he writes wonderful baddies, I mean brilliant baddies, which work incredibly well on the stage, because a child audience immediately, their sense of justice comes out, and they get really emotionally wound up. And also his use of fantasy and magic, which is very theatrical and also very appealing. And there are certain things which are just like fairy tales. I mean, James and the Giant Peach, the peach growing, is very like Jack and the Beanstalk. The two nasty aunts, Aunt Sponge and Aunt Spiker, are very much like the stepsisters in Cinderella. You know, you can find these parallels, and I'm not saying that he took them or pinched them, but it was a bit like old wine in new bottles. He's very, very clever. The idea of witches in fairy tales like Hansel and Gretel, well, he makes it seem very contemporary by making them witches in a sort of modern context, and you wouldn't recognize one necessarily as being a witch. The teacher reading you this story right now might be a witch. I mean, it's very, very clever. So I think that Dahl, as Dahl the storyteller, will be around for many, many years.